breaking eyes, still want the act, not the ghost.
Whoa. Well, there we go. The intro is back. Oh my God.
Quite an intro.
Oh, I love it. It's pretty good. I'm pretty pleased about that one. Well, welcome back to the DCUK podcast. This is season 5 and it's the first episode of 2023. And it is in the DCUK cave. Here we go. As you can see, we've got the Dave Johnson jersey. We've got the DCUK jersey. And then we've got my version of the Cat in the Hat. Look at that. Absolutely brilliant. And as you can see over here, we've got our first guest of the season, guitarist, vocalist, and co-founder of the band Sub Radio, known for parody hits such as Stacey's Dad, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I think, which is a belter, better than that, it's Matt Pradanovic. I hope I did ask you whether that was the right pronunciation, but I'm assuming it's right.
That was spot on. You know, that was a one try wonder right there. Normally it's Pradanovic. That was a.
It's a CH at the end.
Excited to be here.
It's going to be an H.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Welcome to the podcast. It's great to have you on. How are you?
I'm doing great. You know, I'm actually sitting in Dulles Airport right now, right outside of DC. I'm getting on a plane to come to the UK. In just a couple hours, I'm going to be landing in London, and then it's right to Manchester.
That's it, isn't it? It's and you want to tell us why you're coming to the UK as well?
Yeah, you know, I probably should. My band that I'm in, Sub Radio, we are performing live 4 times. We're playing once in Brighton on the 15th of February. We're playing again in London on the 16th of February, again in London on the 17th of February, and then finally in Manchester on the 19th of February. And if you'd like to go to any of those shows, 2 of them still have tickets available, but 2 of them are sold out. So you can stand outside and wave.
I'm sure you'd wave back as well, wouldn't you? If there's just people randomly.
I would, if I could see, you know. I'll do my best.
Yeah, right. But it's great that you've actually.
We'll sneak a couple more in.
Who cares about health and safety? No, we do care about health and safety. We need to care. Yeah, we need to care.
Very much.
It must be a great feeling to actually have sold out shows. Is this your first tour of the UK as well?
Yeah, we've actually have never played internationally until just recently. We did a trip to Mexico, which was amazing, and this is our first time playing in Europe. And I'll tell you, when we started this band in Sterling, and I was you know living near DC for my entire life, I could honestly tell you I didn't really think, it's always a dream that you have, but I didn't really ever think that we'd ever play back-to-back sold-out shows in London before we even step in the country. So that was wild to me. And the other 2 shows are selling fast. So if you are listening to this podcast and you would like to come to the show, I would suggest you go to our website right now and grab tickets. So yeah, it's a dream come true. And it's nice to follow my music obsession, which is allowing me to go to the UK and also watch some football obsession as well. So I get both in one trip. It's great.
And I'm glad you said football as well. You kept it English. I know previously.
In the
pre-show we were saying soccer, and I do dabble in a bit of both. I do say soccer and I do say football, and I get the mix taken out of me because I say soccer, but it is actually an English term after all. So.
That's what they say. I'm an interchanger. I'm also a British citizen as well. So I go in between saying football and soccer. So I think my dual citizenship allows me to flip on the words.
Well, I've got a question already in, and I'm just going to bring it up on screen.
Right. What games are you going to watch? Man United. I am not a Man United fan. I am a Man City fan. So I probably will not be going to Old Trafford. However, I am going to see Man City play Aston Villa on the 12th at the Etihad. So I'm pretty excited about that. There's going to be kind of a weird kind of feeling about that game because recent news has been a little weird about City, but I'm excited to see Holland play, hopefully, and De Bruyne and a couple other of my favorite players. It's been about 4 years since I've seen City play, so I'm excited to go back and see them.
Now, here's a big question. How long have you been following Man City for? Is it since the old
my first City game was in like 2006. I saw, and it's kind of a City game, but they played. It was City United, but it was a youth game. And I thought City was so badass because they won 1-0 and beat United, and I thought they were so good at the time. Little did I know that they were this the smaller team. I didn't really know about football in that way. This is pre-Carlos Tevez. So this is the Claudio Reyna era. Another player who now is a bit controversial to bring up in recent days. But he was my favorite U.S. national team player at the time. So I was a big fan of him, liked that he played for the team. So we would kind of like watch games when we could. It wasn't as easy to watch them back then. And now it's so much easier to see games now. So as soon as all of the games came to NBC Sports, I think that's when I really started watching a ton. Whenever it was probably like 2010 was about when it became easy to watch the games.
So that would have been, was that Faxon Shinawatra who was the owner at the time, I think, when Sven was manager?
When Sven was manager. That was kind of like right when my right when I kind of I don't know, there's a time when like you stop watching just when like your parents watch, I feel like. And that was kind of like for me when that happened. Like my dad was always like a tangential City fan, but he mostly followed DC United. And I was sort of the same up until I got to college, and then I kind of followed both teams about the same. So, you know, if DC United, I said United. Not so there's no confusion. If DC United is playing, I will watch them for sure. And if Man City is playing, I'll watch them for sure. And fortunately, they're on completely different schedules and almost never I never have conflicts about which one I can watch. Can't wait for the day that DC plays City. If that ever happens, that would be a dream come true. And also the biggest qualm ever of who to root for.
Yes. Well, I think it's the likelihood is probably going to be more and more likely because of that connection that Man City have with New York City FC. They could do a mini tour and they could visit because it's not that far away in the grand scheme of things. So
I would love that. I would love to see them at Audi Field, at De Bruyne swinging in some crosses, and seeing how we.
Yes, I mean, could you imagine if DC score against City and then the beer shower in the Chico stand would just be phenomenal?
I would love to see that. I would love to see DC score on City. I love Man City. I love watching them play, but I would love to see a DC goal against Man City. I hope we see that someday.
Definitely. I'm just going to throw up another couple of comments, just compliments for you guys, especially you and your band. So Corey just said, greatest band of all time. Simple as that. That's not bad.
You know, I can't argue. I have to agree. So thank you, Corey. You speak the truth.
And then my lovely wife has actually come on and commented as well. Bless her. And she loves you guys as well.
Oh, thank you so much, Felicity.
More comments coming in. I love this. This is awesome. So Adam said that the older sub radio songs have never really gained the traction that the new songs have. What do you think has changed between early sub radio and now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say people actually watching us, whereas when we put out our first album, we were kids and we're still, and maybe in our heads we're kids. But we didn't really know how to roll out songs, didn't really have a fan base. So I think live streaming and social media has kind of changed the landscape for us, whereas now older songs, which we put out a long time ago, are starting to actually get listened to. And I think for us, it's a little interesting because we want to go back and make those better because we weren't really paying the same attention as we are now to those songs.
And do you think it's because I noticed you guys do a lot of shorts you do it on TikTok, you do it on YouTube. That they seem to gain a lot of traction, so you get that visibility and things like that. So do you think that's probably where it's come from?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the TikTok short form videos, not just for us, but honestly, a lot of people. I think that has kind of been like what everyone's been moving towards lately. That and live streaming seems to be kind of a new way to grow since the pandemic kind of like accelerated that. I think people were probably moving that way anyway, but as soon as everyone was locked inside, they're like, hey, I need to kill 90 seconds at a time for the next 8 hours. So what can I do? You know, scroll on the phone. So.
Oh, right. But we probably should talk a bit about football. Maybe should we do that?
Yeah, let's talk some DC United.
Yeah, let's do that. I mean, I came for obviously fans of the show and for myself as well, just to kind of go through a little bit about your background with DC United. So, firstly, why DC United? I mean, obviously, it's quite obvious because you're from DC, but again, from outside of the pond, we don't see a lot of Americans. Generally, soccer's not the main sport, but you seem to have, obviously, a massive love with the game. So, where did that come from, and then why did it materialize into DC United?
It's kind of an interesting thing that happened. My dad was born in the UK. I kind of have to go back a couple steps. He was born in the UK, came over when he was younger, and he played soccer his entire life. He played for Penn State when he was in college,
Nice.
And always had a huge love for the game. Now, there wasn't a professional game when he was playing, but he got really excited about a well-run professional league in the U.S., which up until the time that MLS was created, there just wasn't really a well-run football soccer league in the U.S. So when they announced that there was going to be a team in DC, he signed up immediately to be a season ticket holder. So he was one of the first 20 season ticket holders ever for DC United. He went to the team picnics that they did when they were first getting people on board to get the team started. He carried tables out. He met Kevin Payne. Actually, he's rest in peace now. Several times, and was very involved in the team, getting it set up, and the supporters from day one. So it's kind of a generational thing. When I was 3 or 4, he was taking me to all those little picnics and things like that. So as soon as RFK started hosting games, I was there for all of them. I started out as a little person, barely able to see over the heads of the people in front of me, and then my seat got better as I got older. And I started really enjoying the games, and I think my love of the game came from just being around it so much and kind of watching it with my dad. And that was kind of our thing for a long time. Was just, watching football whenever it was on. And our team was DC. It was always DC, and they were a very, very, very good team. They won a lot. So it was really fun to go to the games. And the atmosphere in RFK was electric. You could just feel it. And it always was growing in the first years that the league was going on. So yeah, that's kind of where it came from. And I don't know, I've just continued following the team ever since, and they've kind of just been, that's my team. Yeah. So it was kind of a I don't know if I had a lot of choice in the matter. It was always going to be a DC fan, I think, from day one. But I love them. I love them when they're good. I love them when they're bad. And I'll always be watching, regardless of what the score is. So it's been a couple of rough years recently, but I'm excited about the upcoming year. I think we made some good moves, and I'm excited to have Rooney back with the team.
Yeah, definitely. This is
long backstory, but that's it, basically.
It's a great little story, and you're right. It's a lot of the traditions, especially with football fans, soccer fans, is it's usually family orientated. You get told who you're going to support, and that's who you stick with. It's like me with Middlesbrough. My first ever game was to go to a Middlesbrough match against Oxford United back in 1992, back in all those old days where, again, it was an old stadium, wooden. It was a great time. And then that was it. I was a season ticket holder from 1995 to 2010, which is roughly around the time when I moved away. So, yeah, loved those times. It was great. And then obviously DC United, as we talked about previously, before going live, about my little way into the club. Long-winded, but again, it was a nice little way, and you just stick with it, and that's it. And look what happens. You get jerseys with your podcasting name on the back of it for some reason.
Amazing.
You start making things like that, which you can buy on DCUnitedKingdom.com/DCUK store. See how I did that?
Got to get the plug in.
You've got to get the plug in. But yeah, so we've got a few things to go through. I know you haven't got a huge amount of time, so I'll try and fit as much as I can in. But what we'll do is we are going to go into some news. So I need to find the little clips. And we're just going to roll the news VT. Now, if that isn't a news theme, I don't know what it is. That is proper
amazing.
News theme. Right, so there's quite a few things that has happened since the last show, which was back in late October, early November last year. We've had the offseason and things like that. So the big one is the MLS Apple deal, a 10-year deal that's worth billions of dollars and billions of pounds. We're finally able to get it. I've already subscribed to it. I mean, you can get the cheap deal if you run a free trial with Apple TV Plus. I don't think they thought that one through, but as long as you're still subscribed to it, you get the cheaper price. My free trial ends at some point this month, so I decided to sign up for £79 for the year, which is
Good
I think
deal.
it's $79. I say it's literally a straight equation from US dollars
1 to 1,
yeah. So you guys actually get the better deal out of it. So
yeah. Well, that's always the case with watching football, right? It's easier in the US than it is in the UK for any league, pretty much.
Yeah. Thank you, blackouts at Saturdays on 3 p.m. Thank you for that. But yeah, and to be fair though, it's been fairly simple for me to watch MLS games over the last few years, so I can't argue too much.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
Yeah. Especially when Wayne Rooney signed for us, the first full season we had in 2019, out of the 34 regular season games, 32 of them were broadcast on TV for DC United.
That's amazing. Well, and that's what having a player like Rooney brings to the club, is that kind of visibility, which you can't replace that for DC. So he was a great transfer for many reasons. I think a lot of people were skeptical when he came in.
Yeah.
But he obviously showed he was worth his weight in gold for the time he was there, and great to have him back as a manager.
Yeah, definitely. That impact that he made when he first signed, take us from bottom of the Eastern Conference to playoffs on that amazing run,
incredible.
Was just insane. And
every
time we played Orlando as well, it was a magical fixture.
Him and Acosta that play against the slide tackle to the cross up for Acosta's hat trick was legendary. I think that clip will be shared for the rest of history. Absolutely.
That was just something.
And defensive effort too.
Oh yeah, I've never seen Rooney move so fast.
Neither did he, I bet. Yeah.
He probably got halfway through thinking, what am I doing? And he's knackered, he's getting stitched. But fair play to him. Fair play to him for that. But this deal is just MLS deal is fantastic. Right. So yeah, 79 quid.
Absolutely stoked.
Yeah. Or £99 for the year if you're not an Apple TV Plus subscriber, which, to be fair, that's not bad either for every single game.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we got it immediately. as soon as we could. And my dad will be there with me watching every single game. And we watch a lot of MLS generally. So even outside of DC United, we watch a lot of games. So it was a huge. That was great for us because it was just like, oh, great, you're going to put them all in one area, and I don't have to go surfing the high seas potentially to go 5 games.
And it's not just that; it's the extra content as well, which I think has just been brilliant.
Yes.
So it just looks fantastic. I absolutely adore it. There's some of the clips that have come through on there. I think they've all got all the games from last year on it.
Leave it to Apple.
Yeah.
And they have a bunch of archive stuff there too. My dad was watching DC play the Metro Stars just the other day. But it was the season when Jaime was playing for the Metro Stars and not DC, which is a weird sight.
Yeah, I'm glad we forgave him and allowed him to come back.
Yeah, well, when you play like he does, it's easy to forgive.
Definitely. But yeah, so that's that deal that you obviously you've signed up. I've signed up. Hopefully, many others have signed up. You get it free when you're a season ticket holder as well, which I thought was a nice little touch. I thought that was pretty good to be able to do that. I just think this is the kind of thing that the league needed as well in terms of getting the visibility, getting the publicity, and just helping grow the league in general. So hopefully many people around the world will sign up to it, because I know people who are in the DCUK community, we're not just in the UK, we're not just in the US, but we've got people who are in Belgium, we've got people who are in Turkey, Australia, and all over the globe, and everyone can watch it without actually having to go find a dodgy stream, which we shouldn't.
Right. It's I think it's great that the league can command that kind of price for just to have the games on Apple. And it's interesting now that MLS has done that. A lot of other leagues are moving towards the streaming only focus. I think the NBA is going towards that, and I would bet the NFL is going to be close behind as well.
Yeah.
I think MLB already did. I think baseball already did.
Yeah, baseball's was Apple's first foray into sports. So apparently that started off a little bit iffy, but it's actually grown quite shaky. Well. So that's kind of the good test bed for us to be able to have a good success on the platform. So far so good. It works nicely on my iPad. It works through on my Android phone as well, which is phenomenal. So yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Smooth sailing, hopefully, this season. Yeah. Better than Flow Sports, and that's all we ask.
Oh, Dan, why did you have to bring that name up? Why did you have to bring that name up? Okay. Let's move on, because we don't want to go on that.
Quickly from Flow Sports.
Yes. Let's have a little chat about the transfers, because obviously there's been quite a lot happen over the time, I want to say. So let me get the right one up. So we've got the transfers in. So we've brought in a few players there. So Hannah Jose, Derek Williams, Tyus Klitsch, Ruan, Tyler Miller, Pedro Santos, and Alex Bono. So what's that, 7 players there that we've brought in?
Yeah.
I think the key ones for me is Klitsch being a DP. Leeds United fans love him, and you mentioned something about Leeds, which I won't repeat because that might not go down so well with some people. But great to see him. The fans love him. The fans, when I was going through social media when it was announced, every single one had a good thing to say. There was nothing bad about his move. So yeah, can't argue with that.
He's looked great off the bench. Anytime he had to come off and help Leeds in the Premier League, scored a couple of really nice goals. Like this most recent season. Obviously with Bielsa, he was a huge player. So I think that it is an absolute steal that they got him, and at the price that they got him. And playing, if he can combine with Taxi, he can really get the attack firing. And I really hope Benteke gets a good run out. I don't think that he didn't have much time last season, so I'm hoping we actually get to see him with a full firing offense, and also a lot of good support behind him too. I think Pedro Santos is also another, proven MLS player. So
Yeah.
excited to see him on the field as well.
Yeah, I think the live wire out of those is going to be Ruan. He's a bit unpredictable, which is good and potentially a little bit bad, especially on the defensive side. When I've spoken to a few Orlando fans, they love his attacking play, but his defensive could be improved. So we just need to be aware of that. But then that also kind of makes me worry about Nahar.
Yeah.
Because how is that going to work? Because they both play in the same position. Fairly similar. Ruan's more direct, Nahar's a bit more flair, and likes to go around people rather than just try to put the ball up and then run after them. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, whether Ruan's going to be the backup or Nahar's going to be the backup, or does Nahar go to centre back?
I was going to say, yeah, maybe he pushes up the right wing. Who knows? They might.
Yeah.
At times, he was playing as like a false center back almost for DC. It was like very strange how he would just kind of like have these marauding runs forward, put crosses into the box and create some really dangerous situations. I think the big striker gap is where we really suffered. He was such a good creator in the team, and not having that good solid striker for the team really hurt our potential to actually finish a lot of chances that he created.
Well, Ola Kamara wasn't solid?
Well, I have mixed feelings on Ola Kamara. Ola Kamara is a very solid MLS goal scorer, and he did a great job for the team when he was called upon, but I don't think that he was the stable striker. I don't think that he's like the rely on guy to be putting in, 20 goals consistently per season. And I think even that one season that he did have where was it 19 goals he scored that season?
Yeah, joint top scorer.
Joint top scorer, yeah. I think there were quite a lot of penalties in there too. And, like I said, very solid player, great forward. And I really appreciated his time at DC. But I think, and I'm hoping, although I know Benteke's goal output hasn't been so great in the past 3-4 years, I'm hoping he can kind of return to his Aston Villa days in the next season.
Yeah, definitely. Just going to quickly run through the transfers out because there's quite a lot. So you got Brad Smith there, which I'm a little bit sad to see him go because we didn't really get to see that much out of him because he had that major injury early on. So yeah, a little bit sad, but it is what it is. He's now at Houston and joined up with Ben Olsen.
Yeah. I kind of similar. He showed, I think, flashes of what he could have been, but he got injured so quick, and I think they moved him on before we really saw anything.
Yeah. Then Tony Alfaro, not really surprised about him moving on. He didn't really get that much game time, so hopefully he gets the right club so he can play regular football.
Totally agree.
David Ochoa, huge loss on that one.
That was shocking.
Gutted.
I was really shocked that they didn't sign it. He was so solid when they brought him in, and I was like, finally, we have someone similar to Hamid who can bail us out, has really good reactions, makes pretty good decisions, and he's young too, which I also liked. He could have shored up the goalkeeping spot for 10 years if we, maybe if he didn't, outgrow the team and move on to a bigger league. But that's a good thing too, because then we're promoting the brand and getting some money out of him. So very sad to see him go.
Definitely. Then we got Juice Gundrich. Again, no real surprise there. He just wasn't really MLS level at all. He's joined, I did make a note on that, Switchbacks in USL Championship.
I hope he does well. Seemed like a super hard worker. Yeah.
You'd always get 100% out of him, but that 100% wasn't always at the right level. So
quite there.
Yeah. I think there's two players on here which I'm pretty happy to have seen go. First one being Rafa Romo. The midfield and goalkeeper.
Oh my gosh. I think I had the most heart attacks per second with him on the field. And I would bet his defense would say the same.
Yeah. Apparently, there was Matt Doyle did an article, I think it was either yesterday or today, where he's like, he's the worst player he's ever seen in MLS. And I'm like, yeah, I can agree with that one. I can definitely agree. Cost us, half a goal every time he played?
Yeah, it was some insane stat about how he could not keep anything out, and just not terribly surprised to see him.
No, Kamani Smith. I'm a little bit sad to see him go because he's an Englishman. I think the only thing that really cost him his place was the fact that he was taking up an international slot, and they're quite valuable. So.
Yeah, he also started to have a little bit of form near the end of last season. He was starting to kick on, so it was. I don't think he quite did enough to justify that international spot because they are valuable.
Yeah. Then Sofiane Jafar, similar sort of scenario, takes up an international spot. I loved his game. He was such a solid player on the ball. Had a great vision with a really good long ball as well. But again, took up an international spot, so you need to be at a decent level to be able to be worthy of that spot. So
always felt more of like a rotation option, and you really don't want to be burning an international spot on that.
Yeah. Then Ola Kamara, which we've already spoken about. I loved him. I on the podcast I always did the Ola Kamara hype train. Because when he was on form, he was on fire.